What's up, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to add one of our special guests today. I think I tag a friend. Oxana is going to be here in a moment. We're going to talk about 3 ways that you can up-level your life. I know a lot of you are now thinking about fourth quarter. Rebecca, you're probably thinking about fourth quarter and how can I end the year strong? If you want to end the year strong and you really want to go to the next level in your life, then you're going to want to listen to what we got going here. I'm going to invite our special guest here today. Just give me a moment. I'm a little outside my comfort zone, by the way. How's everybody doing? If anybody knows how to add people, let me know. Let me know. I'll wait for Oxana to get on here, and then we'll be talking about how to up-level your life, because fourth quarter is not a quarter where you want to be laying down and doing nothing. And when I say do nothing, I don't mean just like just laying around. Sometimes I mean meditation and just like tuning in to your intuition so you can get guided messages. Sometimes it requires physical action, but you got to do something different if you want a new spicy result, right? So Oxana, if you're there, let me know. I'm going to figure this out. This is going to be awesome. So this is called Intuitive Conversations with Game Changers. And if you're a game changer and you want to come on this show, let me know, because I want to talk to you. If you're somebody who's actually impacting the world and maybe you have a big vision for your life. Oh, here we go. I just found a search feature. There she is, inviting her on. So if you have a big vision, maybe you have a message inside of you that's not getting out because you maybe got fear, you may have ego holding you captive, telling you that you're not good enough, you don't look good on camera, nobody'd ever buy from you. Sometimes from clients, they tell me, I feel like what I want to offer to the world, other people are already offering that to the world, so what value do I have to bring? And that's not only the most ridiculous thing to buy into. You got to realize that there are so many people out there, and I'm talking billions of people out there that are not getting touched and that could benefit from your message. Even the thoughts that you think are just like they're like old hat for you, or they like feel intuitive. We got her coming on camera now. Bring them on camera. We're adding. This is so exciting. The stuff that you have to say, even the most basic personal development stuff, there's people out there that haven't heard anything, like nothing. They haven't heard anything. Like they haven't heard about state. They haven't heard that you're the creator of your own reality. They've heard nothing. What they have heard is, the news they've been tuning into the news every day and getting really a skewed view of reality, a really fear-based negative reality injected into their minds. And so Oxana says adding, bring her to receive an invite. All right. Message me, sweetie, so we can see what you're seeing on your side. It says connect. Yes.
Hi.
Oh.
Hi.
How are you feeling right now in this moment? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
You're feeling good?
Now that you put me on the spot.
That's right. We want the spotlight, though, right? Not in an ego
Yes.
way. Like I told you, I haven't shaved, I haven't done my hair, and I'm leaving it that way for this interview right here. It's an interview, by the way. Actually, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
This is called, and this came to me just a few minutes ago, call it Intuitive Conversations with Game Changers. Okay? And so what I want to interview you on is how can people up level in fourth quarter? Because we're coming up to fourth quarter being like October, November, December. How can they end the year strong and not kind of like piss it away? What do you have to say to that?
Well, this is definitely what I've learned, and so many other people learn too. Is basically everyday choice. Is you wake up, you have your goals, you have your priorities, and you just go with that. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
It's you choose your who you are basically every day.
Yeah. So
your mindset.
how can somebody choose who they are when they believe themselves to be like, maybe somebody believes they're a loser, or somebody believes that they're too fat or too thin or not good enough. Like, how can they choose? How can they step into a new reality?
It's basically a choice because we're born, we're God's creations, right?
Yeah.
So if God created us after it's a spirit image of God. So we are this energy. We have everything within us to move forward with everything. We are equipped with everything. It's just to get rid of the ego, get rid of the excuses, sabotaging, perfectionism, um, all that little voice in our heads talking to us like every day, when we wake up. Oh, you are a loser, you can't do that, come on, what are you talking about? See, it's a lot, but it's everyday decision.
Yes. So I can decide right now to go in a new direction. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Was there a point
You
in
know
your life?
that.
Was there a point in your life where you felt like maybe you were stuck or where you were overwhelmed, and then you made a decision? Like, what was the most? I'm curious. What's the most powerful moment you've had where you have made a new decision and you've totally changed the trajectory of your life?
um there were a couple of moments, but well, one is the one that we all went through Tony Robbins events, right? When we walk on fire, uh, you have hell breaking in your head when when you have to step
Right.
on it. Um, I From that point on, I just started like looking for my fears, like where the zone of my fears are. I started like just targeting them and go after that.
Yeah.
Like I was afraid of the heights. I would just go on Eiffel Tower, on the top of the Eiffel Tower on the glassy elevator, and
Right.
just go after that. Whatever is my ego is saying or whatever my voice is saying, I just go after that. That's the easiest, shortest, and most effective way of conquering your fears, and just basically not conquer, just dancing with them and just expand your comfort zone
Yeah.
on a
So
daily basis.
so if you have a client, like one of your clients, because you do coaching, right?
Hmm.
If you have a client and they're stuck in fear with your own personal style, how would you get them from I'm in fear stuck to I'm unleashed and ready to go?
It's a decision they have to make.
Mm,
It's their own. It's their reality. It's them. They create this reality every single day,
yeah.
and they go for it. I mean, whatever they're afraid of, they have to go after that. That's
Yeah.
the only way.
What's a fear that comes up in your coaching practice that you see over and over again from your clients that you think like somebody watching this might have?
Uh, that I'm not good enough.
Mm,
That's probably one of the most in relationships, is that I'm not good enough, so I cannot be loved.
mm.
Um, Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment.
Oh yeah.
So we all have that.
Why do you think we fear to be judged? Is it because we've been through a schooling system where we were kind of taught, to judge ourselves through like the if we got an A, we'd be like, yay, and maybe get praise. If we got a C, we'd be like, I'm a loser, or I need, How do you think that fear of judgment came about in the collective consciousness?
Yeah, I think it's definitely part of it, and I'm actually, as working with children, I can see it a lot. There's a lot of anxiety, and um, they're afraid to, to fail. It's like it's becoming like becoming a part of them. In the culture itself, it's just like, failure is like the least thing that you can experience. It's like the worst thing that you can have. Well, actually, it's like actually the best thing because it shows you the way.
Hmm. So what do we do if we're afraid of failure? Because to me, failure seems like you know, when you were a child and you were just like playing and creating, you weren't thinking, boy, I hope I don't fail. How did that get injected into us, in your opinion?
How to get ejected?
How did it get kind of programmed into us to basically have a belief that if I fail, then it means something bad about me?
Well, it's, these beliefs are usually shaped by people. They usually shape early in the childhood. It's shaped by people, by school system, by parents especially.
Yes.
So children always have, significant ones, like very important, like authority people in their lives, and usually they crave whoever love they crave the most is that person that they trying to meet their needs. So let's say if it's a father, for example, it's a girl. It happens a lot with girls. Um, they want to be a good girl for their dad, and I see a lot of like very successful women that, young women, they grow up and they just lost, because that is in their head, but they see a different reality. So they were trying to match their dad's expectations, but they became like, so usually with dads would expect like, oh, okay, I want you to be successful, I want you to be goal driven, and then they would just grow up and they'll be like really successful, but the love, that connection, this femininity is missing. I see a
Yes.
lot of that in women, and they cannot find they cannot find their like love partner in their lives,
Wow.
because they're so driven, they're so like goal oriented, that they bring it into their personal lives,
Yes. So do you
and it
think that,
just doesn't work.
are you saying that you're finding them to be more tapped into their, dominantly into their masculine, and that's kind of all they know, or they don't know
It's
even
just
how
that
to bask in the feminine?
it's more like wearing a mask when people are stressed. Let's say there is like primary energy that we all have, like feminine or masculine, and then with these women, they are just step into their masculine, and they just because once they stress, they're wearing this mask of like, okay,
Yes.
I'm going to be an achiever, the guy just broke up with me, and freak, fuck him, I'm just going to go and and go and achieve and stuff, and you know what I mean.
Right. Okay. So you see a lot of, I see a lot. I work with women primarily right now, and I see that same pattern of, you know, what you're seeing right there. So how can somebody, let's bring it back to the what we're talking about here. If you wanted to have a really good fourth quarter, and you were a woman, let's say, and you were used to just being in your masculine constantly, or even like by being driven by fear, how can she change fourth quarter and make it so it not only feels good, but she's still producing results for herself?
Just make a decision.
Yeah.
Just comes to a decision. It's everything decision, trust in that decision, and go on with that, even though it's a masculine thing.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
really depends on what she's seeking to achieve.
Yeah.
If it's in professional, it's one thing. If it's in a relationship, it's another thing. So you really need to look at the direction she's going to.
Okay. So you're saying it depends on the context of the
Absolutely.
situation. Okay.
Right.
Cool. I think if somebody's starting a coaching career, let's say they're looking at you, Oxana, and they're like, man, I really want to help people like she is. What decisions would you recommend they consider making? What decisions would you recommend they consider making?
Get out of their heads and
That's good.
follow their heart, and
Yeah.
just remember that profession, you basically, you're God's hand. You go there, and take your ego aside. Is nothing to do with you. I mean, you just a medium there. You just using your skills, your gifts, your talent to help people, and it comes from a higher power.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
So
a lot of that's what a lot of us like in the beginning. It's a really hard concept because we get into our mind and like, what is, we're not enough, what is this. It really gets the worst out of you and the best out of you.
yeah. So when you step out on that new ledge because you made a new decision, why do those thoughts come up? Why is I'm not good enough or a feeling of not safety? Why is that even fucking coming up? And why don't people just step forward into a new reality?
Yeah. It's not, yeah, because there's so much trauma. Unless you really address that, um, it's really hard to make forward. Even if you make a decision, it kind of pulls you back all the time.
Yeah. Well,
You
when you
need
say,
to work
could
with
you,
that.
what do you mean by trauma for those that don't know?
Trauma, usually it's childhood trauma, it's trauma that you experience. The meaning to the things that were happening to you when you're growing up, or you were adult, and the meaning you gave it, and you have all this limiting beliefs about yourself. And there was probably a real drama and trauma too, yeah, in the
Right.
childhood. So you need to definitely get, work with that first. You need to face your worst enemy, yourself. Part of
Yeah.
yourself, yeah.
I
It's
see that a
just,
lot. I see that a lot with people is just that like they'll buy a program with the best intentions, but they haven't addressed the underlying trauma inside like their nervous system. And so when they go to step forward, that stuff comes up to the surface and kind of like pulls them down. And then they'll kind of like the mind will rationalize, well, I guess I am not good enough, or I guess I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. What's something they can do to start releasing some of that trauma so they can move forward powerfully?
oh, there are breathing techniques. Meditation is an absolute key. Like, bring you to the thoughtless awareness where you connect with your core self, with your spirit, with your whole being. This is like a must. Like, for me, for example, some people, they just, you can visualizing, um, praying, whatever really help works for people. But I believe that meditation, a lot of people, there's a lot of misconcept. People are afraid of meditation, though it's the biggest gift that we have, those that
Yeah.
experience it,
Well,
because
what
it
is it?
connects you no, while you connect with yourself, with your real self, right? You connect
Yes.
with God, with universe. You have all the knowledge, you connected. It's like, having a plug and put it into the wall, in the electric, getting the electricity through you, a
So
good one.
is that important then? And then
Absolutely.
do you find that people are neglecting that? I mean, I've neglected that in my past, and I can tell you immense suffering was caused by myself without unconsciously. Do you
It's a
find,
huge difference.
yeah. How do
when
people
I
how do you convince people that, not necessarily convince, but like sell them on the importance of meditation and being diving into the thoughtless awareness?
Well, there are a lot of facts. Whatever I just mentioned, it's something that should be convincing itself. But there are a lot of facts, like researches made by in universities, medical facilities, that it actually improves your memory, it lowers your blood pressure, it cognitive abilities, the ability to focus is becomes like your focus becomes much sharper, for sure. So
So,
it's there
yeah.
are a lot of and I know, because we meditate, and sometimes we go volunteer and we see people like completely stressed out, and that always, like, I don't understand that part. I would just they will come up to the booth, and it's like totally volunteering, it's free, and they will be like, "Oh, meditation, oh no, thank you." And I'm like, I just don't get it. Like, they scared, they think it's some kind of, like, I don't know, sect or some kind of religion. It's just basically aligning yourself, self with yourself.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a bit of a taboo still with it, but I
I don't
really think
feel.
I think that's losing hold though too, because I mean you just look at the invention of like Headspace and the Calm apps and stuff. The thing I think people, especially in the Western culture, have when they sit down, their ego starts coming up and says, I need to be doing something else. I got to be
That's
making
it.
money. And so it's literally like, if you just look at that, to me, it's like, that's a trap. It's showing you how much of a mind prison you're in. Are you actually in control of your life, or are you on autopilot? What do you think about that?
Well, my experience, when my
Yeah.
ego won, I would go on that track. I would go, and it's a pain, the pain that it's causing of your reactiveness. You're angry, you get angry, you start like, um, you basically inflicting that pain yourself, on yourself. So you start like, okay, well, yeah, let's do this, let's do this. If you cannot really face yourself. But when you start meditating, it's just everything starts flowing. It's just becomes really, really natural.
Yes. I love that. So it can help you make money. Meditation can help you make money.
Absolutely.
And one of the great things you said is focus. You talked about the improvement of focus. How important is focus in this day and age, especially doing well during this last quarter we're going into?
I think I start learning more and more myself. The
Yeah.
focus is probably, if not the most important, but one of the top. Actually, it's probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Focus. This is something that I've been learning the hard way. I'm a very impatient person, and hot tempered and very reactive. So I really, have to focus. So that's why I'm saying like meditation is helping me. That, like you said, in this DNA, because everything is reactiveness. Everything is just, I have to react, or I have to give my opinion. I have to judge, and at some point our brain is just going crazy. It's impossible to digest that amount of information. If you don't have a direction, and if you don't know exactly what you going after, I mean, you're going to be pulled into thousand different directions. And that's how anxiety starts. You're like, oh my God, I gotta do this and doing this and doing this. Why? That's
Yeah.
your direction, right?
That's
And when
amazing.
you're like, it's so like, I mean, it took me to like health issues and stuff like that, and until I just made the decision. I'm like, I don't know, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm just going into this. Yeah.
It's awesome. So, like, we talked about focus, we talked about making fucking decisions, we talked about a lot of great stuff. We talked about the power of meditation. It's not a waste of time, folks.
Huge.
So, here's what I want to
It's
ask you.
life changing,
It
actually.
definitely is. I'm going to ask you an intuitive question now.
Can I have one story to share with you. We
We'd love
were
to hear
talking
it.
about God, right?
Yes.
So a year ago, I went to this pilgrimage in Spain, and I wanted, like, I had it on my bucket list for years, and I'm like, I really want to experience it. So we went with my family, and I started walking. It was like 5 days, 100 something miles in 5 days, and it's Spain, and the landscapes are so different. It's like it's mountains, it's hills, then it's like highways, it's everything. So I started walking, and a story about my ego. So the first day I put my Nikes on, and I'm like running there, and I see like a lot of teenagers, and they're like walking, hardly walking. They're like, you know, they pacing there, and I'm like, wow, losers! I'm gonna just run through the 25 kilometers is nothing. So I run there, and I'm so proud of myself, looking back and down and down. And at the end, I started like, I mean, the body was feeling like it was walking by itself at some point. And then the next day, I put my Nikes, though I had hiking shoes. So I'm like walking there, and then like in my foot slipped, and I sprained my ankle. It was red like an apple, like very very swollen and red. I couldn't even step on it. I got real upset, and I started praying, and I said, God, I want a miracle. I want to see a miracle. And usually when I tell people the story, they have like goosebumps. I said, I need to finish this walk. It's too meaningful for me. It's like pilgrims that walk there through centuries. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like it's it meant too much to me. And I'm like, I gotta make it to the town now. And I made it. I woke up like it was the last day, and I woke up, and the food was almost healthy, like almost perfect. I can't explain that, but that's like a reality. I have like pictures. I was about to go to the emergency room, and I woke up,
Wow.
and I walk like, yeah, I was walking very slowly, right? At the end, but I made it, and it was so emotional. It was like that was a God's miracle for me.
Yes.
God miracle and God's love, and just how powerful we are too, and the power of prayer too.
Wow. So you were on this pilgrimage, you sprained your ankle, then you asked for a miracle, and then you were able to walk.
Hmm.
This is, I think that there's a lesson in there too. Is don't be afraid to ask for miracles and be ready to receive them because they're coming. Every time I ask for miracles, and it's like coming from a genuine place, I gotta be ready to receive that, man. Ready to be received. Like if I'm
What
asking
does it
for
mean? What does it mean? Ready to? What does it mean for you?
to what
Ready,
ask
ready to receive for a
ready to
miracle.
receive. Ready receives to mean once I ask, I'm alert. I'm aware to. For example, if I was going to ask for a new client that's unbelievable, I'm going to watch for that coming into my reality, to the quantum field, right? But once that opportunity comes in, I've got to be able to receive it by taking whatever inspired action comes out of it, rather than just let it go. I'll give you a short example. So I'm doing breath work lately, like a lot of it, to clear my nervous system, the trauma. And so I asked for an eye mask to do the breath work with, because you want to have an eye mask on because it'll pull your attention if you're doing the breathing with your eyes open.
Hmm.
It's like an hour of breath work. And
Wow.
I said I think I'm gonna purchase an eye mask. God, can you give me an eye mask? The next day, Jacqueline and I forgot about it. Jacqueline and I went to a park, and the eye mask was literally at the park, nothing around it, sitting right there. An eye mask out of trillions of products. But I got to be willing to receive it by picking it up and taking it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I got to be willing. Sometimes you ask for money, for example, and it appears in your reality and it's ready for you to take, but then you're the type of person that picks it up and then you're like, whose is it? I don't want to take it. And sometimes, no, it's meant for you because you fucking asked. I'm not saying do that every time because it might legitimately be somebody's, but uh,
Right. So you have to be able. You have to be on the receiving mode, basically.
well, so with my clients,
You know
yes.
exactly what you. Yeah.
Well, you want to look at when you're manifesting, you want to look at your not only ability to ask, but your ability to receive. It's usually the receiving end that's blocked for most people. They're not actually good receivers. So you want to open up your ability to receive more and more abundance. Because you could ask for $1 million, but your receiving level is like, like $5,000 a month. But you would prefer God giving you 1 million. Well, there's a little dispute there. Do you see it?
Hmm.
So it's your ability to open up and receive more.
How do you do it? How do you work with your clients? Like if that is the issue of receiving, there's a success block.
Well, so let's say you ask, how much money do you want a month in your coaching practice, let's say. And they
Hmm.
say, well, I'd like the 10. I like $10,000 a month, right?
Hmm.
So then we start saying, how much is a lot of money? I'll go into their subconscious mind. Maybe I'll have them like go into deep meditation. I'll ask them, how much is a lot of money? And they say $1,000 is a lot of money. You want 10, but you're saying, God, this is a lot. But sometimes I say, think about 20 now. Think about receiving 20, and they're like, oh my gosh. And we might work around with 20, the feeling of 20 for a while, and then maybe 15, and then by the time we get back to 10, they feel good about receiving 10. They've received, and so can you see how that works? Like you want to be able to receive everything. We can receive way more than that, by the way.
So, but how do you do that? I guess the process, but like, do you have some, specific tools, tricks, envisioning? How does it work? Like,
It depends on the person. To me, questioning, asking really good quality questions is really the key to good coaching, in my opinion. It's asking the right question intuitively at the right moment. Like, if you feel somebody is not good at receiving money, then you'd ask, I would ask them about their childhood. What was the energy like around money in your childhood? So for me, the household felt unstable. There was a lot of yelling about it, so I linked pain to it. And right there, if you were my client and I learned you linked pain to receiving money, then that's an indicator of something we got to work on. You're not a clear
right?
receiver. And it's the same for love too, just in a different
So
way.
basically, just go to the meaning that they attach to that subject.
Yeah, that's another good way is changing the meaning of that they give to money, or changing the meaning that they give to a relationship. Always checking what things mean to people. But for that to be the most effective, I found is they have to understand or get to understand that nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. And that's one of the most profound things to actually realize is that I'm giving meaning to everything. I'm making it up. Like if I drop this and spill it on this conversation all over me, it means nothing. But I could give it a meaning that I look like a fool or I look crazy. But there's no built-in meaning to me spilling it on myself. So you get them to understand that. And once they do, they're like, wow, I've been giving negative meanings to things all my life.
But what is your advice? Like, yes, you definitely change. I mean, it's a habit. You definitely you need to develop this habit like a muscle, right? Like, okay, you change your meaning, you change your
Yeah,
reality. Like, but
absolutely.
when it's pulling you out, like from your past, from your uh from your childhood, the dad was saying like, oh, money doesn't grow on the trees, we cannot afford this, we what do you think, I'm a Rockefeller?
Yeah, so those would
One
be
of
the
the
limiting beliefs. Yeah, we all got those. Well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us, the majority
most
got
of
all
us,
those.
yeah.
Address them. So one thing practical that people can do on this is Byron Katie has a great process of questioning. She's a spiritual teacher. And so give me one of your limiting beliefs right there around money. It's not your limiting beliefs, but one of the things that you just said.
um okay. um like, you could say like, I'm not worth that. Like, I'm
Okay,
not
so
worth like 200,000 a year.
okay, I'm not worth $200,000 a year. That's the belief, we'll say. Then now we're going to go through a step-by-step questioning process. The first thing we say, the first question is it true? Yes or no? And
No.
okay, it's no. And then you go to the second question, can you absolutely know for sure?
No.
Okay, so then you go to the third question. Um, When you believe the thought, what was the thought again? When you believe the thought,
That I'm not worth 200,000.
yeah, when you believe you're not worth 200,000, how does it feel in your body?
Um, Pretty crappy.
Yeah. How do you act when you believe that thought that you're not worthy of that?
Well, people would probably just agree with that and not go for it.
Not go for it, sabotage, all that. So you do
Sabotage,
that
yeah.
third question and you'll list the third question is supposed to get you to see that that belief is super limiting. Then the fourth question you go to is who would you be without the thought that you're unworthy to receive that amount? And you sit with that. Who would I be without that belief? And energetically, you shift into a parallel reality where you're now like, oh, fuck, I've never lived here and I feel really open. Like my energy has just ripped open, even just with that, just doing that little work.
Hmm.
And then there's more to the
And
process
then you
called,
start visualizing
yeah,
and stuff.
there's more
Hmm.
to that process, but it's really effective. I know Tony Robbins uses that one lately. He really likes it's called The Work. It's free. It's on the internet. I think it should be taught to every child in America. It's so easy and works.
Well, his Prime is an amazing tool. I always recommend that because
Yeah.
it's visualizing, it's being grateful for what you have, and it's visualizing for what is about to happen. So you kind of like you feel so. They use a lot of those techniques in their seminars. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the priming one. I think you can get that on YouTube too.
Yeah.
It's like a, what, 10, 15-minute process you do in the morning?
Yeah, like 10.
Yeah. So if you want to up level, guys, use that Byron Katie process. It's 4 steps. Look it up. It's easy. Make a powerful decision to create something new. And we also said a bunch of great stuff. Think about your relationship with money too. We talked about that. Like a lot of people have a terrible relationship with it and it owns their entire life. It colors their relationship, it colors everything. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just like time and money is very, very similar.
Yeah.
Very
So
emotion.
how many like how many conversations about time have you had in your life? Like Jacqueline and I talk about this all the time. Like what is
Yeah, well,
time?
the different perceptions of time. There's time, the chronos that as we know in Western civilization, right?
Yes.
It's 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 and 24 hours. And there is, I forgot how it's in Hindu. They call it, it's like a quality time. It's the time, it's the memories that you remember. It's that time when you're in now, in the present, when you enjoy yourself, when you do things that you love. this
Yes.
is this is this is what you remember, not like what you've done at work or how many projects you delivered for your company,
Yeah.
though that may they bring some good, it's whatever events we associate with the biggest emotions. That's what lightens up our lives.
Mm.
So it's a different perception, of time.
Yes.
The zone, like I called it.
Yeah, the zone or flow, all those beautiful states. I love entering them. I don't know about you. If I'm too much about the calendar, I've noticed, if I'm too much about like too scheduled and like looking at the calendar too much, I notice I get more of it a mental trap with that. And the more I let it go, I return to like a childlike, just like fun and playing. So I think it's like, how can we use that system that has been spoon fed to us, the Gregorian calendar, it's called?
Yeah.
How can we use that but still stay in flow is important to question.
Is I guess it's a lot about prioritizing, and it's about inner work too, like what's really important. And when you
Yes.
stay in that, you feel like you are more fulfilled.
Yeah.
even though, I mean, it depends, you know, everything is important in life. Like, there are things that are not urgent and not important, even they are important, like watching TV, like a Netflix, or any of that, or like things that are important but they are not urgent, when you need to
Yes.
plan the growth, when you like read things, you know, you expand, and things that are urgent and important is the zone where you just stay, you know, when you basically live in your true self. That feels just when it feels amazing, you are in that, in that zone,
Wow.
because you feel like you feel like, okay, this is my true purpose and I'm living it. And the more you live in that, that's how people, you know, become successful.
Yes. So this, I'm going to finish up this conversation. It's been awesome. Uh, with some intuitive
So
questions.
spontaneous, so spontaneous, so like
That's right.
not like it's completely like mm,
Structured.
that's, yeah,
So,
very structured.
are you ready for the questions? They're intuitive questions, which means I
Yeah.
don't even know what they are right now.
Okay,
Okay, ready?
go ahead.
What was the best moment of your life? What was the best moment of your life in 2 sentences?
There were two moments, the best moments.
Okay.
The moment when I was born, and I'm
Okay.
thanking God for that, and my parents every day. Well, almost every day. I'm trying. And the second one is when I was 7 years old, and I lived in the Soviet Union, which was like, you know, Russia, and there was no God. There was no notion of God. I knew exactly where we come from and where we're going. So that was my life turning point. I made the decision that that is important, and it stayed with me all my life.
Wow.
Not mentioning, of course, giving birth to my son. This is like the biggest treasures
Yeah.
I have in my life.
Beautiful. Next
What
question.
about you? Ah, okay.
Oh, well,
Question.
I'll answer it too because this is more of a conversation show. You got to ask it. Ask me the question and then I'll come up with it. You can ask the same question too.
What is the moment that you are the most grateful for? So many, so many.
It was being there for my brother when he was going through some court stuff, and we had to go to court. And I saw, him in shackles and some other people, and I was just sitting in that courtroom, and I wasn't in fear. I was in peace, and I was sending out love to the entire courtroom. And one of the verdicts that he got was in his favor, basically. And I knew it. I knew going and supporting. So I was so grateful for that. The other one that comes up is more of a recent. My cat, because I'm in a traveling van. I have a camper van that I bought 2 years ago. And when he wakes up, he begs for food. And so I've done this new thing where I just grab his food and I cup it in my hand, and he eats out of it. And it's very sacred for me. Cats are my favorite animal, hands down. So that's what I'm really grateful for.
I like dogs.
You like dogs?
Yes.
What do you love about
And
dogs?
those
What do they mean to you? What do dogs mean to you?
love, connection.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, I'm asking you two more questions.
Dolphins. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
dolphins are great. Here's
I
the.
love.
It's your last day on Earth. You know it, and you're at peace. What's the one piece of advice you'd want to leave to planet Earth?
Just go after your dreams. Don't wait until the last minute. That's the worst regret I believe we could have.
Hmm.
The worst, that we did not live what we were supposed to,
Yes. Wow.
what we had in our hearts.
Yes. That's beautiful. I would say this. Discover who you truly are. If you don't discover beyond conceptual thinking, beyond thoughts, beyond beliefs, that you are infinite consciousness and you have a direct experience, you'll go through your entire life thinking you're somebody that you're not. You'll be identified with the ego, with the false self your entire life. And this happened to my grandma Bailey at the ripe age of 99 and a half. She said this to my mother: I can't believe people's opinion didn't matter this entire time. So, which means that she didn't wake up in this lifetime until that point, and then she passed away. So she didn't discover the true essence of consciousness.
That's like the worst.
Yeah,
Well, that's the best that
and the yeah,
it actually happened. Yeah, but it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a great
yeah,
lesson though. I guess
yeah.
you could say it's her legacy because I'm now
That's
telling the
definitely
story.
is.
I'm
Absolutely
telling the
is.
story. So, last question. This is the last question. I promise that I know you got to go run. What's the next step for you personally to go bigger in your life?
Just expand my business, expand myself first, not in the
Yes.
physical way, I hope, but just go, just
Just got
just
that.
go just go, just go with my heart,
Yeah.
and just don't let my ego control me, or my you know crazy thoughts that we all have. Liberate myself and just go with that.
Yeah, that is golden because how are you going to build a bigger or yeah, a business of your dreams when like expand when you're not expanding within, right?
Absolutely.
I always say, and I got this from Sam Ovens, he's a guy online. You don't usually have a business problem, you usually have a personal problem that's
Yeah.
reflected in your business. And so
Yeah.
I think that's
People
beautiful.
marry their businesses.
Yeah,
That's how they bring all their limiting beliefs into that.
yeah. So if I was to say my answer to that for me, continue letting go. Continue letting go. I'm practicing letting go, Oksana, lately. And I'm letting go. When you practice letting go, let go of this being the perfect conversation. Let go of your feelings around the things you used to think are bad. Let it go.
Yeah, I think it's just creating a flow, just not thinking about, because there's thousands, hundreds of thousands. I mean, what do they say? 60,000 thoughts a day. You
Yeah.
can't digest them all. Just let it go
Just fucking let it
until
go, man.
something, yeah, until something just feels good and you're more aligned.
Yeah. Let it go. Let it go. So where
Yeah.
can people find you if they're looking for coaching or they want to ask you a question? Where can they find you?
It's Messenger. It's Facebook Messenger. It's Facebook page. It's Instagram, LinkedIn. It's everywhere. I mean, I'm all accessible. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. You did
Thank
wonderful.
you for
You did wonderful. I did
good job.
wonderful. Oh, yeah.
I do.
We're kicking ass.
Well, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thanks for
Have
everybody
a great
tuning in.
day.
Bye.
Bye.